Every time I mention that hiring a flatter sped me up so much that I got my first book after that done in 12 days, everybody always asks me, what is a flatter? What's this weird job? I've never heard of it. I'm going to show you what a flatter is. Okay, this is my inked page that I got done with for a client. It has all these little buildings in the background, all these windows. It has all these little details. It has people in the foreground, people in the background, a cement truck, yada, yada, yada. This little dude with all of his gear in the background, shoes and shoelaces. It has these guys in the background. It has buildings. It has background buildings. All of this stuff is in the inks. I render this as one image. I send it off to my flatter, and then she sends me back. Let me turn this off. Turn that off. She sends me back this image. This is what I want from her. This is all of those areas segmented out in nice flat blocks of color. The color that she chooses doesn't matter. These colors are not what the final colors are going to be. But everywhere that something shows up, it's going to be the same color. Like his jacket here should be the same tone of gray everywhere that it shows up on the page. I'm going to turn the line art back on. So see, now everything is blocked out. I don't have to waste my time drawing all these selections out. It seems like a little thing, but when you look at all these little edges, if I had to select that out every time I needed to color this, that would be crazy. I have that layer set to my reference layer and I have it locked so I can't change anything on it. And then I have a layer above it that's clear that I'm going to color on. And I can do whatever I want on my color layer, but as long as I have select color gamut set to refer to multiple and I have it set to refer to the reference layer, it will always go back to that flat layer that she gave me that has all of these things blocked out in nice, easy selections. This lets me like just click and say, okay, I want that green for the building. And now all of that green is masked out. I don't have to cut out the window frames and the window panes and the trim. No, just all of that green selected. And now I could make that, whatever color I wanted, paint bucket it, boom, and it's done all over the page. Like the color on his jacket, for instance. I could select that, and everywhere his hoodie shows up is now all selected on the page because it's all the same color. And if I wanted to make his hoodie purple, boom, I can paint it, and now it's all purple. If I want to come in and airbrush highlights on it, I can do that. I don't have to go and select around all of his body again to do that. If I want to make even brighter highlights, I can do that. And it's already selected for me. I don't have to cut around. The not having to cut around it, the not having to pick out those selections saves me so much time. And as long as I keep my original flat layer locked, I always have it nice and clean to work on, and then whatever I paint on top of it doesn't really matter. Like what I tend to do in a scene like this where it's going to be night is I'm going to pick like a dark color and I'm going to just paint the whole layer above it blue, and now I'm going to work from there. I'm going to work from here on up and start picking things out. You can follow along and watch. I'm probably going to speed some of this up, but it makes it so much easier this way. All right. So the sky is definitely going to be dark. I'm going to select color gamut. I'm going to select the sky. And you notice anywhere the sky shows up here, it has all been selected. This one is, she did a different color, but these are all the same. I'm going to make it a little bit darker. And boom. And let's see. I'm going to select this building. All right. And I'm going to go a little purpler Try and make it a little warmer. Let's see what that does. I'm going to select that highlight color. Get a little lighter. And I can always change this stuff if I don't like it. Let's see. We're going to do this building. Why didn't it get that part? It should have got that part. Alright, select color gamut. Okay, she did that as two separate pieces. Alright. And I'm going to take the blue. I'm just going to go lighter a little bit. I want to sink that back a little bit. I want this one to be coming out a little darker, a little grayer, a little warmer. No, that's too purpley. Let's try that. Now I'm taking the color that I originally painted these and I'm going just a little bit darker and a little more saturated, just a hair. And then I'm going to lasso fill the ones on that side. So that side of the building looks a little bit darker. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to do it the same color trim. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make this side of it with the lasso fill just a little darker. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side of the building. I'm going to grab the wall color. I'm going to grab that purple. I'm going to make it a little darker, a little more saturated. And then lasso fill that side. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the trim. Make it a little darker and a little more saturated. Lasso fill that side of it. Same thing for this center trim piece. A little darker, a little more saturated. Lasso fill. Get that side of it. For all the little trims. And now that side looks like it's in shadow. I did the same thing for the windows. I filled them in a little bit darker for now. A little bit lighter on this side. Now we need to do this building back here. We're going to grab the wall. We're going to copy that color. I'm going to go a little darker, a little more saturated. And I'm using the fact that with the lasso fill, wherever I start the line and wherever I end it, it will make a straight line from there to there. It doesn't matter what shape I make. It'll always make a straight line from the end of the line to the beginning of the line. So I'm using that, whoops. I'm starting at the top of this line on the edge of the building, and then I can make whatever shape I want and end on this end of the line, and it'll make a nice straight line there. Usually I can get that pretty good, pretty close to matching. Grab those windows. We're going to grab that color. We grabbed the black ink color instead. We're going to grab the window color. A little darker, a little more saturated. Boom. It's still lighter than this, just like these are lighter than this, but it makes it look like it's in shadow. And now we're going to grab this building here, a little darker, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to start my line at the top of this line, come around outside of the selection, and then end it at the bottom of that line. And see, it didn't exactly match up. It missed just a little bit. So I can come over a pixel or so, do it again. That matched up a lot better. So there you go. Now we got some background buildings in color. I'm trying to do a night scene, so I want to start from a blue color scheme. So I went kind of purplish, hoping it'll look like when the whole scene's done, it will look like red brick buildings at night. I may have to tweak it. That's fine. It's not the end of the world if I have to tweak it. All right. Now we're going to grab that chunk of that cement truck. This is the color we're starting from. We're going to go a little bit more towards the yellow. We're definitely going to go lighter and greener. I don't think that's quite right. We're going to blue it up a little bit. I'm going to grab that section there because it's already got this line masked off. And then I'm going to grab a color that's a little darker and I'm going to draw in the shadow here. But because this other edge is masked off, I can just come out there and not have to worry about it. That looks cool. Move that guy. Grab that guy. Yeah, I hear the Amazon guy out there. I hears him. But you don't need to be barking at him. He's our friend. He brings stuff to us every day. He brings Mama all her tchotchkes she needs. You won't come sit down? Come on. Come on. You can come sit down. Come on. Okay. You can be scaredy boy. Somebody got a new training collar that beeps when he's naughty outside, and he's upset about that. He's not a happy boy. He doesn't like having a collar on at all, much less having one that beeps at him when he does stuff he's not supposed to do, like bark at the neighbor dog because they're trying to go pee. We just got new neighbors, and they're scared to let their dogs in the back because he's a barker. You want to come lay down? Come lay down. There you go. Oh, there's my big boy. There's my big wiener dog energy. Yeah, there's my big wiener boy. Need to come get some loves. Pay no attention to the man baby talking his dog. Oh, well, now, let me pull up the reference. This is the reference that we designed together, and I want to make sure that I get the colors right. supposed to be wearing black suits, but that all looks kind of dark. And I don't like the way that color's going. So that made it real easy to color this stuff and get it pretty close, but now I don't like the way some of these colors are going. So now I'm going to change it to select the selected layer and click on it, and now it's picking from my color layers. And I am going to select that, and I'm going to blue that color up a little bit. I think I like that better. And now I'm going to pick shadow colors and make a new shadow color off of the new base color. That's a little better. I'm going to pick his skin color. And I'm going to blue it up a little bit. And that's too blue. Let's bring up a little lighter. Because I want him to look like he's back in the shadows. Sneaking over the wall, but also I need to separate him from those buildings. So I may need to brighten up those buildings a little bit. To make these shadowy figures pop more. I think I'm going to make this guy. And see, now when I want to do things like highlight his hat and his jacket, I don't have to make a selection all the way around here. All I have to do is select the parts that I want, and then I can come to lasso fill and pick myself a highlight color, and only have to worry about one line of that if I want to. I don't like that. I don't think that's bright enough. Let's try that color. Let's try a little more. Maybe. So I don't have to worry about tracing this line. I only have to worry about the other lines. And that makes this whole process so much faster. I didn't realize how much time I was wasting retracing this line over and over. I had no idea how much time I was spending doing that until I didn't have to do it anymore. I still don't like that though. I want to put a highlight on this section of the gun. I just have to select those areas. I don't have to worry about tracing out this area. Grab me a lighter color. Boom. Put a highlight on the gun. That easy. grab those windows. I'm going to take my negative, my subtractive selection tool. I'm going to deselect the windows on that side. I'm going to grab a large airbrush. No, I don't care for that. Another trick I'm going to do here is I'm going to shrink my selection size. I'm going to try 10. Okay, see, 10 gives me a little gap around those windows there. I'm going to come up to a new layer. I'm going to put a little highlight on there. And then I'm going to go to move. And I'll move it up and over to one side to make it look like it's coming from a light source over this way somewhere that's casting a shadow, and it's casting a shadow on all those pieces because I shrunk the selection and then I moved it after I painted it, and it gives it that look like the light's coming from somewhere over here. There's a light over here on the construction site somewhere that is pushing that direction. I'm also going to come down, I'm going to color select. I'm going to do the selected layer, and now I'm on the layer of these colors, not my flats. And I'm going to select this wall color, this wall color, this wall color. No, I didn't catch what I wanted. That color, that wall color, that wall color, and this wall color, and that color. Okay. And now I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to make the color yellow for highlights because that helps me recognize that as a screen layer because it's yellow. And I'm just going to use screen and one of my blues and a big airbrush, and I'm going to kind of hit these buildings with it a little bit just to see what I think. If I hit that with the blue light, what do I think of the way that looks? Not bad. Could be better. I'm going to come over here, make a new layer, paint it purple. I'm going to set it to multiply. And whoops. Come down to this layer again. I'm gonna grab all the sides of that building over there. I am going to make sure my negative selection, I cut out anything on this side that I might have accidentally grabbed. I don't want in there because I just want these sides of the buildings selected. I'm going to try hitting this with a brown in the shadow and see what I think. Let's try hitting it with a yellow at the bottom and highlights. Overall, I don't hate it, but I don't like it there. Undo. But I don't hate those darker shadows. That for sure helped make him pop a little bit. Okay, let's grab cancel. Cancel, get on the right layer, so I'm picking from the right things. Okay, I'm gonna pick those, and those, and those. Now let's go back to the highlights and hit them with that blue light too. I like that, though I'm still not sure he pops out enough. I'm gonna let it go for now. I may come back and do something else, but I'm gonna let that go for right now. And I'm gonna work on some other scenes and see what I think about it when I can see it as a whole. Select reference layer, select his jacket, his pants, his jacket, his pants, his jacket, his pants. Because I essentially want everybody's supposed to be wearing black suits. So I want them all wearing essentially the same color. I'm going to pick the highlight color I was using for him. And I'm going to try painting it in here. See what I think of it. Might be too much. I was floored when I found out how much time it saved me not having to go in and make all these selections by hand over and over again. I had no idea how much time I was wasting just redrawing some of these selections over and over again for highlights and shadows, and it just took so much time. I didn't realize. I always thought hiring a flatter was a ridiculous extravagance. Like, why would you ever do that? Now I hate it when I have to flat something for myself. And if I have to do something by myself, I still flat it because it saves me so much time and it makes the process so much easier going forward. Never thought I would, and now I can't hardly live without it. And it is 100% true. Time is money. The amount of time I was spending wasting doing all of these selections over and over again has it has sped me up so much. I'm not doing that. Just the time it saves me has sped me up so much. It lets me get jobs done faster. It lets me get jobs done cheaper. It's allowed me to keep my price lower for longer. Because she sped me up so much, I started making more money per page because I was getting more pages done. I mean, I didn't start making more money per page, but I started making more money per book because it was taking me less time to get the jobs done. which let me start getting more jobs done. Like I said, I was planning on the first book we worked on to take a month and a half. I had it all scheduled out, and that book only took me 12 days to get done. Now, part of the reason that that sped me up so much was also because I changed the process with which I did how I did my books. Because before that, I would just sit down and pencil, letter, ink, then color a page. I would send the pencils off to get approved, send the letters off to get approved, send the inks off to get approved, send the colors off to get approved. And then I would start on the next page and I would pencil it and ink it and, yada, yada, yada. And that understandably took a long time to do. Um, when I knew I was going to be working with a flatter, I knew I was going to have to change the way I was doing things at least a little so that I would give her enough stuff to work with so she'd have plenty of work to do. Let me try this as a highlight. There we go. I like that better. And so instead of doing one page at a time the way I had been, I decided to do. I decided to just go ahead and pencil all the pages. I would pencil and letter all of the pages in the book, which when I'm just penciling and lettering, and it's a book that I know really well, that lets me get stuff done really fast. And because I knew the books well, I knew what I was doing, I knew the characters and the backgrounds, I managed to get that book done really fast, just penciling it all, not having to go from pencils to inks to colors, yada yada. So I could send all the pencils out to the client. I got that book penciled in like 2 or 3 days. Sent them all to the client. He got a chance to look them over and approve them. And then I got to start inking. And when I was just doing inking, and I wasn't having to go from penciling to inking to color, doing one thing at a time let me go a lot faster. And I could just start burning through the inked pages. And I didn't have to wait for the client to okay the inks before I went on to colors. I just kept inking more pages. I inked this page, sent it on. Ink the next page, send it on. Ink the next page, send it on. So I could get 4 to 6 or 7 pages of inks done a day, depending on how complicated the page was. And I could send them all to him. I didn't have to wait for him to get a break at work to approve them. I could just send them all to him and keep working. The ability to be able to keep working and not have to wait on an approval saved me so much time and money. I wasn't stuck doing the pencils and then waiting to get an okay, then do the inks. At that rate, I could only do 1 or 2 pages of full color artwork a day. Now, I can get a whole book penciled in a couple of days sometimes. I penciled a whole book in 28 hours one time because I don't have to wait for approvals for every single page. I can just go on, pencil the whole book. They can approve it when they have time. Usually, by the time I'm done penciling the book, at least half the book is already approved usually, and I can start on the inks while they're approving the other pencils, and I don't have to wait. I'm not stuck looking for stuff to do. And so I can just go ahead, burn through all the inks. I don't have to wait for that approval. I can be done with the inks. By the time I'm done with all the inks, at least the first third half of the book is approved. I can send those on to the flatter, and when she sends them back to me, I can start burning through the colors. And sometimes, some books, depending on how complicated the colors are, some books I can get colored in a couple of days. So that really speeds things up a lot. Like one of my clients really likes um, old school 80s colors, sort of like I'm doing here, with simple flat cell shading. And, that's the vibe that he wants in his books, because he wants his books to look like they came out in the 80s. And I'm trying to see if changing the highlights on the jackets would make them read as darker. And I think that's going to be what I want to do. I think that, yeah, I think that's better. Because that looks too neon splashed. Yeah, that looks better. Oh, wrong. I gotta have it set to reference layer again. Because I keep going back and forth. Alright. Select from reference layer. I'm gonna pick his face, his face, his face, and his face. Not that they're all the exact same skin color, but they're all Russian guys. So they're all going to be starting from about the same place. And I may change them up a little bit. But it's all in the dark and at night, so I don't want to go too crazy. Let me make that guy a little bit darker. And I'm going to make this guy a little bit darker. Which means to make this guy a little bit lighter. Make this guy a little bit lighter so they stand out a little bit more. Let's see. It's not bad. Okay, come in and select his face. Now another trick you can do, now that I've selected his face, is I can hold down Control Alt and then double click on the image of the inks a couple times, and it will deselect everywhere the line art is on his face. And now I can shrink that selection even more. And that might have been too much. Let's try shrinking it by 5 pixels. And it just cuts in a little bit around all of that. But what that's going to do is when I come in and put a highlight, let's see what that looks like. When I put a highlight on his face, it helps set off some of those shapes and stuff that were already in there. And then I can come back in and really fix them. But it helps get it started. Yeah, that came out cool. I love that trick. So again, all you gotta do is select them with the reference layer, Control Alt, hold Control Alt, and then click inside the image, and then it deselects all that line art area. And then you shrink the selection a little bit more. I'm gonna draw around for his hair there. I'm just control Zing so I can get my selection back that I had. Because I want to do the same thing on his hands. And I want to take advantage of that on his hands as well. There you go. Those guys are looking into a bit of a highlight there. Grab those teeth and eyes, and I'm going to go ahead and make them white. Which made his pop out in the darkness too, but that's going to be alright. Yeah, there's not a lot of room there in that jacket, is there? I got a needy wiener. Oh. Yeah, there's just not enough room in that jacket for you to stay warm, Bubba. I'm sorry. And he says he put the other blanket on the floor, and I'm not picking it up right now. Alright. We got him selected. Control Alt, click in the line art again. This time I'm going to shrink the selection by 3. Click OK. And I'm going to put the highlight on this side. See, not having to draw selections around all those little silencers saves me time. It's worth the money it costs to have somebody flat your pages for you. And it's worth the money to pay to have somebody who knows what they're doing flat your pages for you and do it right. Because it's going to save you so much more money if it's done right. Than having to try and go back and fix it because somebody didn't do a good job. They would be red steel. It's dark. That don't work. That's too purple. I wonder if an actual brown would be better. That reads more as being red, for sure. No, I don't think it would have caught there. I think that might even be darker. Okay, now using my flat layer, I'm going to try something new that I haven't really tried before. I've used my flats to select everything that I've colored from this guy on down, leaving the background. And then I right clicked and said merge visible layers to new layer. So it's created a new layer above everything that has all of the art on it. Okay. Now, because I have all of this other stuff selected, oops, wait a minute, I need to add right there. Because I have everything else selected, I'm going to right click, layer mask, mask selection. Now I've masked out everything on this image except for this area right here. Okay, now I'm going to go to that layer. I'm going to go to Gaussian blur, and I'm going to take the Gaussian blur up pretty strong. Oh, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong section. I need to make sure I'm on that image. Okay, now I'm going to go to Gaussian blur. I'm going to take it up pretty strong. Wait for the preview to kick in. See how it's blurred all that background? Alright, I'll take it up a little stronger. Make sure everything's good and blurred. Click OK. So now I can click off of that and all of that background's blurred, but I don't want all of that back. I want it more blurry over here than over here. So now I'm going to take that little layer, I'm going to put it in a folder. Alright. I'm really only putting it in a folder so I can put a layer mask effect on top of it. Alright. I'm going to tell it to mask outside of the selection, which masks everything off. Now I'm going to come in with a gradient, and I'm going to go from black to transparent. I'm going to make sure I'm on that layer. And I want it to be transparent here. And I want it to be black here. I think I can do it straight. Will probably look better. And let's see. Not bad. Let me undo. Go back on that layer. Wasn't bad. Pretty much got what I wanted. Not quite. Okay. Sometimes it's trial and error, but we're going to get it. Okay, there we go. See, now it's clear here, and that fade gets more faded as it goes back because I've masked it off more and more and more as it comes this way. And so we get more faded. And I could even come in with my black airbrush if I wanted. Set really large. Oh. Wait a minute. I'm on the wrong layer. It's not going to have the effect I want that way. And I could paint in more of it. Here if I wanted to. Oh, I'm on screen. Duh. That's why it's not working. There we go. So now, like, it's a little more faded, a little more faded. I can even duplicate that whole folder and then come back to this layer and Gaussian blur it stronger. Let it get done figuring out. See how that's way, way, way stronger now? And the same thing, I can paint out more of that transition further. So now it fades into that first level of Gaussian blur, and then it fades into that second level, and stuff goes way out of focus in the distance. And I did that same thing on the backgrounds in here. I Gaussian blurred the backgrounds after I got done painting them, so they felt a little blurrier. And I did the same things here. I really blurred out that sky. I blurred out that building a little bit less, and then blurred out this building a little bit less. And it kind of makes everybody pop off of it. Honestly, I think I'm going to come in on this layer here, and I'm going to Gaussian blur those a little bit stronger. Because it's so far away. And I really kind of dig that effect. I think that came out pretty cool. I'm going to run that by the boss man and see what he thinks. I've never done it before, but I think it's kind of cool. And that really makes him pop now, where I had a little trouble making him pop out before. It really pops. But the whole thing we were talking about is color flats. And hold on a second. Let me put all this in a folder so it's easier to see. And when we turn it off, color flats are still there. My reference layer is still here that I can pick from. And when I go to select color gamut, I tell it to pick off my reference layer, and I pick that, it picks that color gray all over the page, which usually is only in one place, only in his shirt. Apparently she used it on his shoes too. But after I've started painting, I can still use it to select things, and it just makes it so much easier to make things pop. Like if I wanted to add a little highlight on my highlight layer to make his suit glow a little bit there, all I gotta do is grab me. Oh, I got transparency lock on. Duh. Grab that selection in the airbrush and boom, there you go. I've added a little highlight to it. I can add a little highlight to the tippy top of him there. I could add a little highlight to him there. I can also come in on the multiply layer now and oh, I have transparency locked again, duh. And darken a little bit of this section here if I want to. I could grab his pants and just darken a little bit of that area right there. And boom, it makes the selection so much faster and easier. I hope that helps understand what flats are good for and how you can use flats to end up making pages like this really quick. I got this page colored in 2 hours, and that was with talking and